It's old technology, but it refuses to die. In fact, vinyl is making a comeback.
In 50 years we've had some great times in the past. It got extremely slow for many years, and in the last 5, 6, 7 years it's become extremely busy. We're doing very well. Our biggest problem is not selling it, in a lot of cases it's getting the stock, because it's so hard, because there's not enough presses in the world anymore.
Business has been great the last few years.
Why is that?
A resurgence of vinyl. All sorts of people, a wide range of public are getting back into vinyl, dusting off their turntables, dusting off the vinyl.
Audiophiles say vinyl appeals because, while people like to be able to physically hold their records and admire the artwork, it gives a much truer rendition of the music.
Because it's analogue, and because we have analogue hearing, so I believe it's suited better to humans for our hearing.
Analogue is reproduced, and you get every note, and it's a smoother and it's a more cohesive sound, in my opinion.
But all vinyl is not created equal, so be on the lookout for inferior discs.
In the past, where you bought an album going back 20 or 30 years, they'd press 100,000 copies off a mother, which is what the thing's pressed from. And towards the end of the run, they all start to get very, very flat and horrible, because mothers wear out. Now they press about 15,000, so there's a worldwide shortage all the time, because quality is better than quantity, and that they've discovered that, thank goodness.
The analogue being process, a physical process, you can shortcut things, and I think that maybe you've got different pressings like solid gold hits, they sound like transistor type, and the tracks are shortened to obviously get that many songs in. But if you get a quality pressing like Japanese, German, or even, should I say, MoFi, which is mobile fidelity, it's just unbelievably good. Unbelievably. You couldn't believe it's the same recording.
Whereas in the past, you know, you'd get a record and you could flip it into like a wobble board. Now, that was about 100, 110 grams. Now it's 180 grams. They've got better cutting techniques, use better quality vinyl, better everything. It's just better.
While there's joy to be had listening to vinyl, there's also money to be made as collectors chase the rarer discs.
It's particularly because they're collectible and people want to make money. It's human greed, mate, pure and simple.
A couple of years ago, we had this young fellow wander into the shop, and he dumped a box of vinyl at the end of the counter, and his exact words were, "This is effing rubbish." And we looked at it, put that effing rubbish out the back, and then some weeks later we're going through it, and I went through it, and there was 4 Howard Riley albums in there, and I'd never heard of Howard Riley, but he's an English free jazz pianist, and 3 of them identified very quickly, and you know, I got 300 for one, and I got 180 and 120 or something, but the 4th one, which was called Discussions, I just couldn't identify. It took me some months, and I finally did, and I found a copy, and it was 3,200. So I put mine on the market for 3,000, and I'll never forget it, because at our previous home we had a little office in the bedroom, and Janice was checking on a Sunday morning, and she said, "Bloody hell," she says, "you've sold it, we've sold it." And I said, "What?" She says, "Howard Riley." But the reason it was so expensive was that in England, when it was pressed in 1968, if you pressed 100 pieces of vinyl or more, you paid VAT. He only pressed 99, so there's only 99 of these things worldwide, so it's very rare. And that's the reason it got that value.
It's by the Glitter House. They were a New York band, and they were in the 60s, the 67, 68 psychedelic period, and these people were very good, and they were a multicultural band. There's black people in there, and they didn't make any money out of it, and they only made 1 album, and it's very limited, and I've got one, and if it doesn't sell, I'm going to put it in my own collection. It's very rare. There's probably less than 500 issued in the 60s, and there's probably no more than 50 in the whole world now.
And in that condition, what's it worth?
Well, $1,000 is my price, retail. The covers are a wee bit tatty, but the vinyl is excellent and it plays really well, and it's the first edition. and it's children's songs set to an acid trip, if you want the blunt information about it. It's very unique.
Music companies have steadily reissued back catalogues in response to the vinyl renaissance. Some of the later pressings are of superior quality compared with the originals from decades ago, but if you want one, you need to be quick. And how do I find out online if there has been a reissue of a favourite album?
I guess you just have to Google it and find out when it came out and if there's any stock available anywhere. Let's look at, for instance, Nirvana's Nevermind, which just got reissued just recently. I went to order some of those and there's no more stock available and they don't know if they're getting any. So usually they make a run of it, and once they're all gone, that's it.
A lot of artists are only coming out on vinyl or digital formats. The CD, unfortunately, seems to have passed its peak. And last year in the States, as I understand, more vinyl was sold than CDs, new.
Most shops purchase used vinyl from people that carry it into the shop. But Ward says if it ain't rocking, don't bother knocking, because he wants your uncle's vinyl, not your nana's.
People now sort of know that I'm here, and they'll come in with boxes of them. A lot of them we call in the industry crap, but there's also 10% of them are sellable.
So what's your typical crap? What makes crap crap?
James Last, Roger Whittaker, Nana Muscuri, Kamal, yeah. It just doesn't sell. I don't understand why. I'm not really saying it's crap because it's crap, but it's just hasn't taken off again. In the day, it was very popular, obviously, because there's truckloads of records, but now it's not worth.
I'm mainly interested in hard rock stuff, and my personal collection, I like to buy Doors music and Pink Floyd and things of my generation. So I do have a small collection out the back, which I have to be very disciplined about, because otherwise, Patrick, I would have no stock and be a hoarder and not have a shop.
Gordon and Janice Stevenson moved their Napier business into their home garage for a shot at a quieter pace of life. But that hasn't been the case.
Because we're actually busier now than we were when we had the retail store in town.
Why?
I think our online presence has increased dramatically. We're still getting customers who come in. We're getting a lot more customers from around New Zealand who are visiting the Bay. They all look up online, you know, wherever they're travelling to. So they always come here. They're always amazed at the amount of stock that we've got. COVID's actually been good for us in some ways, particularly during the Auckland lockdown that went on for months and months. Our online orders increased dramatically. I would probably say 80% of our orders went to Auckland.
While business is good, their true passion is sharing it with others. The couple host regular music evenings at their Poraiti home, on vinyl of course. After all, vinyl is to be enjoyed, even with the rarest children's songs set to an acid trip.
I'll play for you the Glitterhouse Colourblind, so you can hear what $1,000 sounds like. It's sort of doo-wop in a way, isn't it? Tinkerbell's Mine.
I was a little boy a long time ago. There was somebody special that I used to know.